Hi there, my friend. This is ATN back again. So today I'm going to talk about a few different things, but I want to start with a question. Um, am I allowed to be happy now? No, I'm not allowed to be happy now. And I'm going to go on this topic because I just see so many people walking around with their head down, and I've been caught like that a couple times myself where I'm walking around, it's like, man, like I'm not allowed to be happy, and it's not necessarily conscious that I think that, but I can just be going about life and then just have like this expectation of I'll be happy when, I'll be happy when I get a better job. I'll be happy when I get this new car or this new things, and I'll be happy when I level up and I do the things I want to be doing. So the biggest question is what is keeping me from being happy now? How are things different? And I'll give an example because I think that sometimes we wait to be dealt better cards, and we take for granted that we'll be happy when we get these things, but the reality is that we don't really know what tomorrow has to bring. So I'll leave you guys with this question: should I wait to be happy, or do I want to choose to be happy now? And what's the difference going to be? Because in my last video, I talked about, purpose, about why am I choosing to do things and why am I choosing to do the other thing. I find meaning and makes sense. So why does it not make sense for me to be happy now? What would make sense for me to be happy now? And I'll start with a personal story. And yeah, I'll start with a personal story of how I was challenged with that question. About 2 years ago, my hips went out, my health went out, and I was diagnosed eventually. For a long time, I had no idea what was going on, but I have hip dysplasia, and I got a torn labrum in my left hip. And my pain was about a 14 out of 10, constant every day, and I was in a situation where my housing and my everything was precarious. I didn't know where I was gonna live, and then when I finally got a place, I didn't know how I was gonna pay for it because I had about 8 months where I had no income because I couldn't work. I couldn't stand for long periods of time, and I couldn't sit for long periods of time, so I was pretty much bedridden. I was bedridden, and I was just waiting for things to get better. But when it's been for 8 months that things are not getting better, well, what was my other choice? To just laugh and just be all right, I'll pass when it's not passing. So at that point, I was dealt with a choice, and doctors weren't very helpful. They were telling me that basically I had to go through surgery and that they needed to replace both my hips. And that means that I'm 27 years old. 5 years from now, no, 10 years from now, I need another hip replacement. And they're usually good for they're usually good for 10 years. The second one's usually good for 5. So I was like, I don't want to keep getting into that cycle of, postponing the inevitable. So yeah, so what am I to do with that? I was deprived from a lot of things. I didn't have money coming in. I had a lot of uncertainty, a lot of insecurities of, I was in a new place. I didn't know anybody. I landed in West Palm, didn't know nobody, didn't have any more hobbies because obviously I can't work out, I can't go for a run, I can't do all these things. And so yeah, so what do you do when all these things are ripped from under your feet? So I was left with that choice. What do I do with that? I don't have friends, don't have no hobbies, and now my health went completely south where I can't even work and I have no more income. So yeah, what did I do with that? When life comes at you, well, should I say life in its sufferings, in its difficulties, we're placed with two choices. It's like sorry, I'm kind of losing my ability to speak today, but when you're confronted with suffering, you have two choices. It's like a train that's passing. You can either get on the train and go somewhere nice, or the train can just pass and you missed it. So I would just say you missed an opportunity. So what was the opportunity for me in that situation where I have no friends, life lost its taste, I'm powerless to make a change, and I can't really do much. So for me it was the biggest blessing, because otherwise I would have kept on doing what I was doing before. So it was an opportunity for me to take time to look deep inside, to look at my life, to see what is really important. Because what I thought was important was being ripped away from me, my security, my ability to work, and all these different things. So what am I left with? What am I left with? I'm left with a lot of questions, a lot of what ifs, a lot of I'll be happy when my hips get better. I'll be happy when I can get back to work and providing for myself. But what I was really left with was the opportunity to look at things differently. So how did I look at things differently? What could I do with my time now that I have all this time during my day? Well, I don't talk to nobody, I don't do nothing. What do I do with that time? I took the time to really dig deep inside after stopping complaining. When I stopped complaining, I realized I had more time to reflect on myself, on what's my identity, of what do I want, and how can I make meaning with what I have, because nothing made sense. So what started making sense is like, okay, well now I have time. I can go to church more often. For those who are religious and those who are not, I can connect with myself. For me, it was really looking at God, looking at what I was doing right, what I wasn't doing right, and really giving myself a break, that I don't have to figure things out. That I went from a perspective of being a human doing back into what I was supposed to be, a human being. That there's nothing I could be doing right now that would necessarily change my situation, but I could just be, and when I started just being, letting things flow, then the stress went away, because I can't control the fact that my hips are the way they are. I can't control that I don't have a job, and I was looking for stuff that I could do, but what can you do when you're bedridden and your pain's a 14 out of 10? So I started finding peace in my situation. I started finding time for God. I started finding time for myself. And I was like, okay, well, I can't do much. I'm bedridden. Might as well be bedridden and comfortable. So I started going to the beach. I went to the beach more during that time period than I have been to the beach in my entire life. So it was an opportunity for me to take care of myself, to be nice to myself. And yeah, I had the choice to just stay in my room, be negative, complain, and just be completely hopeless, or I could do something different. So why am I not happy now? Because the things I'm doing right now are not making sense. Why get on that train? Or why let it pass? I'm not letting it pass because I don't really have the energy, or I don't feel like it, or I just like to think that I would like to go somewhere else. And I'm actually still in my house on my couch, but I'm not going to the train station. I'm not going anywhere. So for sure it's going to be frustrating. But I can go to the train station and maybe buy a ticket, go somewhere nice, and yeah, at least the ride was worth it. I didn't waste it. So when suffering comes our way, what do we do with it? We have a choice. What is the choice that you have right now with the cards that you're dealt with? What can you do? You're dissatisfied. Well, what would make sense for you? How can you do things differently? You don't like your job? Well, what would make sense to go to your job? Of course, you gotta pay bills. Maybe you have a dream. You can't get to your dream yet, but you can start working on some things that you can control. Maybe making time for the things that you really want. Are you tired of being tired? Or do you just like to complain? Sometimes I like to complain. Doesn't make much of a difference, but it feels good. It's kind of fun though. It's entertaining. But is that really what I want? Do I want to keep complaining for the rest of my life? Or do I want to go somewhere nice? Do I want to get out of my situation? how much am I ready to invest to make a change? Do I want to be happy now? What can I do right now to find meaning in my suffering? Am I letting it go to waste, or am I doing something with it? Is it an opportunity that I'm jumping on right now? Am I cornered and feel like I have nowhere else to go? And for me, if it wasn't from being cornered and not going anywhere, I would have probably ended up continuing the rest of my life going from labor job to, just being a job hopper. But I was tired of, and I wanted a family. So I started figuring out what was important to me. What was important to me is that I don't want to keep going at the rate I'm going and be on survival forever. I want to have something. I want to have a career. I want to have something that's meaningful. And I'm still in the process of getting that one done, but I'm doing what I love. Now it makes sense. Now I go to work so that I can do the things that I like until I can make those things my day-to-day thing. But for now, that's what it is. So right now it makes sense because I'm going to my job so that I can fulfill my dream and transition towards more of what I like. And what I like is coaching. I didn't even know what coaching was, but I started exploring. I was tired of doing the same thing over and over again, and I was like, okay, well, what can I do differently? I had heard about coaching. All it took for me was to explore what it would look like. What do people do as life coaches? And that's more fulfilling for me than doing something that doesn't make sense just to get a paycheck, just to get by. Just get by. Just get by enough so I'm paying my bills and maybe I can go to the coffee shop. Or maybe I can go to a restaurant, or maybe I can watch a movie, or something simple, but something simple that just makes things better, not fulfilling. Am I fulfilled right now? And what would it take for me to be fulfilled? What would make sense? Because nobody wants to do something that doesn't make sense. If I tell you right now, I don't know, like, let's build a shed, and you got no interest in being manual, you're not gonna do it. If I say, hey, let's go hike the Himalaya, and you're terrified of heights, and you just don't have that endurance, it's not gonna make sense. You're gonna be, no. If I say, hey, let's go to Cuba, you really want a vacation, that makes sense. You're like, yeah, but I don't have the means. But if I pay for it, man, I'm gonna go. So I hope I'm not just rambling right now because I feel like my point was made. But yeah, how can I make sense of the situation I'm in? How can I turn it for the better? And how can I use this suffering I'm experiencing for it to make sense so it doesn't go to waste? So I'm not feeling like I'm wasting my time or wasting my life or wasting my potential. Feeling like I'm made for more, but doing nothing with it. I can do nothing with it because it's comfortable. It doesn't require any effort. But is that really what I want? So yeah, I can choose to smile today because today's an opportunity to do something different, to do something fulfilling, to find meaning behind, I don't know, cleaning my car, doing the laundry, doing the things I don't like. But if I put meaning behind it, it's be a lot easier to do it than to do it just because I have to. Because I have to is not good enough. Because I have to doesn't make me want to do it. So what's going to make me want to do the things that I want to be doing that I'm not doing already to finally be doing them? I'm not allowed to be happy. Well, if we change that around, I want to be happy. I can do this with the cars that I have right now. It's not perfect. It's not a royal flush. I'm not a big poker guy. I don't know much about it, but I know that's a good hand. I think it is. But yeah, what can I do with what I have? Well, peace out, my friend. Stay beautiful. Life is good. And yeah, stay posted for the next one. Like and subscribe. And yeah, have a blessed day.